Hey plant lovers, welcome back. Here is something that has bothered me for years. Every list of best bedroom plants on the internet tells you what to buy. Almost none of them tell you why it works. Not really. Snake plants release oxygen at night. Full stop. No explanation, no mechanism, no honest assessment of what that means for your sleep. And the result is that millions of people put the wrong plants in their bedrooms, or the right plants in the wrong spots, and never experience the difference a well-chosen plant can actually make. So that's what this video is. Not a list, an explanation. 5 plants that genuinely interact with your sleep environment, each through a completely different biological pathway, and what the science actually says about each one. Let's start with something your bedroom does to you every night that most people never think about. When you close your bedroom door and climb into bed, you are sealing yourself into a small, relatively contained environment. You breathe. Your partner breathes. The room is warm. And over the course of a night, the oxygen to carbon dioxide ratio in that room shifts. In a well-ventilated home with modern, drafty windows, the change is minor. But in a tightly sealed apartment in Chicago in February, or a small bedroom on the interior of a house with no airflow, CO2 levels can climb noticeably through the night. They do not climb to dangerous levels, but research has consistently shown that even mild elevations in CO2 can affect the quality of slow-wave sleep, the deep restorative phase that leaves you feeling genuinely rested rather than just technically unconscious. Your bedroom at night is a closed system, and a few specific plants intervene in that system in ways that are genuinely measurable. Plant 1 is the snake plant, and I want to give you the honest version of the story, not the inflated version, and not the cynical dismissal either. The snake plant, now officially called Dracaena trifasciata, though you'll still see it sold as Sansevieria trifasciata at most nurseries, performs a type of photosynthesis called Crassulacean Acid Metabolism, or CAM. Most plants operate during the day. Stomata open, carbon dioxide in, oxygen out. Then night falls, stomata close, photosynthesis stops. The whole nighttime period is effectively dead time for a standard C3 houseplant's gas exchange. Snake plants work on a completely inverted schedule. They open their stomata at night, absorb carbon dioxide, and store it chemically as an organic acid called malic acid inside their leaf cells. When daylight returns, the stomata close, the plant breaks down that stored malic acid internally and uses the released carbon dioxide to run standard photosynthesis, producing oxygen in the process. The CAM pathway evolved as a water-saving adaptation in hot, arid environments. By closing stomata during the heat of the day, and opening them only at night when temperatures are lower and humidity higher, these plants lose dramatically less water. What matters for your bedroom is the timing. A snake plant is cycling carbon dioxide and producing a net oxygen contribution during the hours you are actually sleeping in that room. That's biochemically real. Think about what that means. Roughly 85% of the flowering plant species on Earth use standard daytime photosynthesis. CAM plants are a small club: succulents, cacti, aloe, orchids, and a handful of others. Among common, widely available indoor plants that tolerate low light and low water, the snake plant is essentially the gold standard for this behavior. That combination, CAM photosynthesis, low light tolerance, and the ability to survive serious neglect, is exactly why it keeps appearing on every list of bedroom plants. The biology earns it the spot. Here's where I want to be careful with you, because a lot of content out there goes further than the evidence supports. A single snake plant in a 12 by 12 foot bedroom is producing a meaningful but modest amount of oxygen overnight, not transforming the room, not replacing fresh air. A 2021 controlled environment study measuring oxygen output in sealed chambers found that snake plants averaged about 0.82 liters of oxygen per hour per 100 grams of leaf biomass in dark cycle conditions, more than double the output of pothos or peace lilies under identical conditions. But to meaningfully shift the oxygen levels in a typical bedroom, You would want 2 to 4 established plants with substantial leaf mass, not one small pot on a nightstand. Think, a well-established snake plant that has been growing in a 10-inch pot for 2 or 3 years, or 2 medium-sized plants positioned in different areas of the room. Do you know what that also gives you? Coverage. Because snake plants are also doing something the research is less contested about. They are confirmed to absorb formaldehyde, benzene, and xylene from indoor air. These compounds off-gas constantly in most bedrooms, from the adhesives in plywood furniture, from pressed wood nightstands, from carpet backing, from flame-retardant treatments in mattresses. You are sleeping in a room surrounded by slow chemical off-gassing every single night. A snake plant does not eliminate that, but it reduces it incrementally, continuously, for the entire lifespan of the plant, which, with minimal care, can be decades. Care here is almost offensively simple. Snake plants want bright indirect light, but tolerate low-light bedrooms well. Water when the soil has been dry for at least a week, sometimes longer in winter. Overwatering is the one way to kill these plants. In the cooler, drier conditions of most American bedrooms, which tend to run drier in winter from forced air heating, especially in states like Colorado, Utah, and the upper Midwest, snake plants thrive on neglect. One thorough watering every 3 to 4 weeks in winter is plenty. Plant 2 is lavender, and this one operates on completely different biological machinery. Nothing about the snake plant's oxygen chemistry applies here. Lavender works through your nose and through what happens the moment a specific molecule reaches your brain. That molecule is called linalool. It makes up roughly 25 to 45% of true lavender oil by weight, and it has a documented mechanism of action in the nervous system that plant marketers rarely bother to explain. When you inhale linalool, the molecules travel through your nasal passages to the olfactory epithelium, the sensory tissue at the top of your nasal cavity, and from there, the signal takes an unusually direct path. Olfaction is the only sense that bypasses the thalamus, the brain's relay station, that filters and processes most incoming sensory information before you consciously register it. Smell goes directly to the amygdala and hippocampus, the brain structures involved in emotional response and memory. That is why a smell can hit you before you have even identified what it is. Linalool, specifically, has been shown to enhance the activity of GABA receptors in the brain. GABA, gamma-aminobutyric acid, is the nervous system's primary inhibitory neurotransmitter. It puts the brakes on neural activity. It is the same system targeted by benzodiazepine medications, which are prescription sleep aids. Lavender's effect is considerably milder, which is entirely the point. You get a gentle neurochemical nudge toward relaxation, not sedation. In controlled trials, people who inhale lavender before sleep consistently show reduced time to fall asleep, fewer nighttime awakenings, and higher ratings of sleep quality than control groups. The Sleep Research Society and multiple clinical reviews have replicated these findings. This is not folk medicine. It is pharmacology delivered by a living plant. Here is the practical detail that most people miss. A living lavender plant releases its volatile compounds continuously, passively, at low concentration. That is different from an essential oil diffuser running at high intensity for 30 minutes. The argument for a live plant in the bedroom is not that it produces more lavender scent than a diffuser. It does not. The argument is that the low, continuous, ambient release of linalool through the night may be closer to the conditions under which the sleep research shows the most consistent benefit. The diffuser model is a pulse, high concentration, short duration, then nothing. A live plant is a steady background presence. You are not being hit with a burst of scent. You are sleeping in a room that consistently, gently maintains a baseline level of it. That is a different pharmacological experience, even if it sounds like a less dramatic one. There is something else worth knowing about lavender's scent delivery. When you brush against the leaves of a lavender plant, even accidentally while adjusting your bedside lamp or reaching for your phone, you release a small burst of fresh, volatile compounds from the leaf glands. That's the plant equivalent of a reset, a mild, localized dose right at the moment you're touching it. Many people develop the quiet habit of brushing their fingertips across the leaves before sleep, without quite realizing why it feels like a ritual worth keeping. The answer is chemistry. If you subscribe, and I'd love for you to, I go deep on plant science in every video. This channel exists to give you the actual biology, not the marketing copy. If you decide to try this one, lavender needs significantly more light than most bedroom plants. It wants at least 6 hours of direct sun, which means a south or southwest-facing window in most American homes. And that is genuinely limiting in many bedrooms. But if your bedroom gets real sun, this is the plant to put there first. And if it doesn't, place the lavender in a sunny window elsewhere in the home during the day and move it to the bedside in the evening. Now, plant 3 is where things get genuinely surprising, and it connects back to lavender in a way that most people would never predict. Jasmine. Specifically, the varieties commonly sold for indoor growing in the United States. Jasminum polyanthum, the pink jasmine, is the most widely available. Jasmine releases its scent most intensely in the evening and through the night, which is not coincidental. In its native habitat across the Himalayas and southwestern China, jasmine flowers are pollinated by moths and nocturnal insects. So evolution shaped the plant to concentrate and release its fragrance after dark. Not in the heat of the afternoon when pollinators are asleep, but precisely in the hours when the nocturnal world is most active. Your bedroom is accidentally a perfect habitat for this biology. The cooler, dimmer conditions of evening trigger the same fragrance intensification that the plant evolved for in its native mountain climate. A psychologist named Dr. Brian Raudenbush at Wheeling Jesuit University in West Virginia conducted a study in which participants slept in rooms fragranced with jasmine, lavender, or no added scent at all. The jasmine room produced better scores for sleep quality than both other conditions. Not just marginally better than the unscented room, but better than the lavender room as well. Participants in the jasmine condition showed less tossing and turning on movement monitors, and they reported higher alertness and cognitive performance the following afternoon. The research team noted that jasmine's effect on sleep was not simply the result of pleasant smell. It was something specific to the compounds in jasmine itself. Here is the connection to lavender that surprised me when I researched it. The key sleep-active molecule in jasmine, linalool, is the same compound responsible for much of lavender's relaxation effect. Two flowers with completely different fragrance profiles, one sharp and romantic, one soft and herbal, share the same primary neurochemical mechanism. What you experience as jasmine and lavender are different aromatic experiences, but behind both of them, linalool is modulating GABA-A receptors in the same direction. The scent is different, the brain chemistry is not. This is also why you do not need both jasmine and lavender in the bedroom simultaneously. You would be delivering the same neurochemical signal through two different sensory channels, and more is not necessarily better when it comes to sleep-regulating compounds. What makes jasmine a particularly interesting bedroom plant is the timing of its volatility. The fragrance intensifies precisely at the time when you need it most, fades naturally through the morning, and then builds again the following evening. You do not have to time anything. The plant manages it on its own biological clock. Care is moderate but specific. Jasmine wants bright indirect light. An east or west-facing window works well, and consistent moisture. Do not let it dry completely between waterings. It appreciates humidity, so if you live somewhere that gets very dry in winter, a small pebble tray with water under the pot makes a noticeable difference to how well it flowers, and therefore how much scent it produces. In California, Florida, and the Gulf Coast states, jasmine grows happily in conditions that closely match what it wants. In drier interior states like Nevada, New Mexico, and the Dakotas, give it a bit more attention around moisture, and expect to water more frequently in the heating season. Feed it monthly during spring and summer with a balanced fertilizer, and it will keep producing new flower clusters rather than offering one flush and going quiet. Plant 4 is the areca palm, and this one works through a mechanism that is fundamentally different from everything we've discussed. Not through chemistry, but through physical moisture. The areca palm, Dipsis lutescens, sometimes sold as the butterfly palm, is one of the highest transpiring houseplants you can buy. Transpiration is the process by which plants pull water up from their roots through their vascular system and release it as water vapor through tiny pores in their leaves called stomata. Every houseplant transpires to some extent. The areca palm transpires a lot. A well-established 6-foot areca palm releases approximately 1 quart of water into the surrounding air every 24 hours. Put 3 in a room, and you are passively adding nearly a gallon of moisture to your bedroom air each day. Now here is why that matters for sleep specifically. Most of us do not think about bedroom humidity as a sleep variable, but the research is consistent. The optimal humidity range for restorative sleep sits between 40 and 55% relative humidity. Below 40%, common in American homes running forced air heating in winter, particularly in the interior West, the Great Plains, and the Great Lakes region, the air begins to dry out your nasal passages and throat. That drying causes your mucous membranes to lose their protective moisture layer. Your airways become mildly irritated. Your body responds by producing more mucus, which can cause congestion. Congestion causes mouth breathing. Mouth breathing is one of the most reliable predictors of snoring, and all of that disrupts your sleep in ways you often do not consciously register. You do not necessarily wake up, but you move through the light stages of sleep more frequently and spend less time in the deep, restorative phases. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Sleep Medicine found that patients with nasal dryness and congestion showed measurably increased snoring and disrupted sleep patterns compared to controls. The connection between dry air and sleep fragmentation is documented and real. And an areca palm is essentially running as a passive, silent humidifier overnight, using no electricity and making no noise. The care profile for the areca palm is the most demanding of the 5 plants in this video. Not difficult, but specific. It wants bright, indirect light, ideally near an east-facing window, where it gets morning sun without the scorching intensity of afternoon direct sun. Water when the top inch of soil feels dry, typically every 5 to 7 days during the growing season. Brown leaf tips are the plant's signal that the humidity in the room has dropped too low, which is useful information since it means the plant is also telling you when your bedroom conditions are drifting out of the optimal sleep range. One more thing on the areca palm. It is confirmed non-toxic to cats and dogs, which eliminates one of the most common reasons plant owners avoid putting things in the bedroom. Plant 5 takes a different approach to the bedroom entirely, and I want to correct something the internet keeps getting wrong about it. Gerbera daisy, Gerbera jamesonii, is routinely described on plant lists as a plant that releases oxygen at night because of CAM photosynthesis. That is inaccurate. Gerbera jamesonii is a C3 plant. It uses standard daytime photosynthesis like the vast majority of flowering plants. Its stomata are open during the day, its oxygen production peaks in daylight, and it does not have the nighttime gas exchange mechanism of snake plants or aloe vera. Any content that tells you otherwise is repeating a factual error. But here is what the Gerbera daisy actually does, which is genuinely worth knowing. In the 1989 NASA Clean Air Study, the landmark study conducted at NASA's John C. Stennis Space Center in Mississippi, Gerbera daisy was one of the top-performing plants tested for removing volatile organic compounds from indoor air. In a sealed chamber over 24 hours, it removed 50% of airborne formaldehyde, 67% of benzene, and 35% of trichloroethylene. Those are real numbers from a controlled study. The real-world effect in a normal bedroom is more modest because a bedroom is not a sealed chamber, and outdoor to indoor air exchange dilutes the effect. But the underlying ability to absorb and process these compounds through leaf tissue and root zone microbiome activity is documented and real. The plant absorbs benzene and formaldehyde every day it is alive in your room. And there is something else the Gerbera daisy does for your bedroom that no other plant on this list does. It blooms. Reliably and repeatedly, it produces flowers in pink, orange, yellow, coral, and red. Cheerful, saturated, completely disproportionate to the size of the plant. Research on morning mood and cognitive function has consistently shown that exposure to natural color and living organisms immediately upon waking is associated with lower cortisol levels and improved positive affect. Waking up to the visual experience of something bright and alive is a genuinely different start to a morning than waking up to a dark corner. Before I get to care, if you've made it this far in this video, drop a comment telling me which of these 5 plants is already in your bedroom. I read every comment, and it genuinely helps me understand what to cover next. For care, Gerbera daisies need more light than most bedroom plants. A south or east-facing window with a few hours of direct sun is ideal. In states like Texas, Arizona, and California, a bedroom window that gets real morning light gives this plant exactly what it needs. Water when the top inch of soil is dry, and let the soil dry out somewhat between waterings to prevent root rot. Deadhead spent flowers by cutting the stalk back to the base. The plant will redirect that energy into new buds. Here's what I want to leave you with. Your bedroom is not a neutral room. You spend roughly a third of your life there. The chemistry of its air, its humidity, its fragrance, all of those variables influence the quality of the sleep you get. And the quality of sleep is one of the most powerful levers you have on your health, mood, and cognitive function. Every single one of the 5 plants in this video intervenes in that environment through a specific, documented biological mechanism. Not superstition. Not marketing. Actual biology. The snake plant shifts your nighttime oxygen chemistry. Lavender and jasmine modulate your nervous system through olfactory pathways that bypass your conscious filtering. The areca palm maintains the humidity your airway needs to breathe cleanly through the night. The Gerbera daisy works on the chemistry of your bedroom air and then greets you with color when morning comes. You don't need all 5. Start with 1. Pick the one whose mechanism matches what you most want to improve. If you sleep in a dry climate, or run forced air heat through a Midwest or mountain state winter, the areca palm is your first move. It addresses something most people do not even know is disrupting their sleep. If you have trouble falling asleep, mind running, can't switch off, jasmine or lavender gives your nervous system a direct neurochemical nudge toward downregulation. If your bedroom smells like new furniture, fresh paint, or carpet adhesive from a recent renovation, the snake plant and Gerbera daisy are the cleaners. And if you have a bedroom window that gets real morning light, the Gerbera daisy gives you something most sleep hygiene advice forgets entirely. A reason to look forward to waking up. Start with 1. Put it somewhere you will actually see it. Give it what it specifically needs, not just what houseplants generically get. And then notice, not immediately, but over weeks, whether the room you sleep in feels different at the end of the day. Because that is where plants actually work. Not in dramatic transformations, in incremental, compounding shifts in the quality of your baseline. A slightly better oxygen ratio. A nervous system that gets a consistent, gentle signal to relax. An airway that is not fighting dry air all night. A brain that registers color and life the moment it opens its eyes. None of those individually are life-changing. Together, they reshape what it feels like to live in a room. Take care of your plants.